there we go. Yes, first question.
Two things. With regards to giving feedback, I'm really interested in the surveys, but I have an educational background, so my question is, for those who possibly have learn a neurodivergent or have learning disabilities and can't access tech or phone, if someone on their behalf has a query on their behalf, how can they get their voice heard?
Okay, thank you very much. So obviously we had an interesting sound experience there, so just to make sure everybody could hear. So the question is, what can we do to help people who might be neurodiverse or have learning difficulties to enable them to have their views heard? And what else do we do with those surveys to make sure that we're surveying a range of different people?
And the reason I raise that, my background is, put it this way, I know about semiotics, which is about symbols and signs. So some of your surveys could have pictures, symbols. There are other ways you can make your information more accessible.
Yeah.
But that could be something for the future. I have got another question, but I'll leave that for later on.
All right, let's deal with this one first if we can. Who wants to take this to start with? I can help out if anyone needs, but go on, Andrew.
Yeah, so days like today are part of obviously engaging with our customers. I think as we move forward, what we want to be doing is much more of, you may have heard of our community catch-ups, where we're out in our communities actually serving those customers in the areas where they live, because our aim is to start working with and hearing from those people we wouldn't normally hear from, and then putting in the right support with colleagues so that you're able to access everything that Curo delivers basically from the community that you live in. So to cut down on potentially calls into the office, phone calls, and actually have those people there to deliver that kind of 360 look at all of the services that we can do and serve you whilst you're at home. Is the first.
Can I maybe just build on that? Because I think two things. I think we've got a volunteer that like to get involved. Yeah. That's what I heard. And I think, thank you, because look, this is precisely what we need to do. We need to make sure that our services are accessible to all our customers, and that's about nuancing what we do to reflect the needs of those we serve. Next to you, you've got Rebecca, who's the Director of Comms, and I'm sure she'd be very interested in hearing the ideas about how we communicate in different ways. So this is a constant piece of work to make sure we're not excluding when we're engaging and we're serving. So your question is the right one, and we don't have 100% foolproof answer, but we have good intention to do it. We have got a disability action group, don't we?
Yes.
So we have a group which is residents with disabilities that help shape our plans and the way we do things. But I think that's exactly the sort of question we need to constantly ask ourselves and keep getting better at, because I'm sure someone listening in will go, they don't do a good job for my needs. And that's part of what we're constantly doing, going out rather than being, transmitting, we're on listening mode, but making sure when we're on transmitting mode, because we have to be, we're transmitting in a way that people understand and engage with. But thanks for offering to help.
Yeah, and we did meet last year because we talked about whether we could get you involved in the Disability Action Group in particular, but it's a great question and we'll keep working in that area. Let's go to Kathleen a bit further forward here, if you wouldn't mind. There we go. No, wait for the mic, please, Kathleen.
Is the impact of the AI on the service proving to be fruitful and useful?
The impact of AI on our services? I mean, there isn't any because we aren't using it. So that's the quick answer. How do you think we're using AI, Kathleen?
I met two of the people who are working on AI in one of our meetings, and it seems a very interesting way to move forward, very modern.
Yeah, so I think it looks like the rain has just started, which is maybe making it a little bit harder to hear as well. But you're saying that you've heard that we're looking at AI and how to use it. Yeah, we haven't actually started using it yet. But I think, and jump in anybody who wants to add into this, but I think the opportunities for AI for us are how to reduce the amount of time we have to spend doing mundane, boring things that take ages that we sometimes make mistakes on, that we can use technology to do for us to free up more time to spend with you. So I think that's how we'll use it. It will be about freeing up more of our time to spend with customers so the AI can do the stuff in the background that we have to do at the moment. That's where we want to get to. Anyone want to add to any of that? Julie, what about in our properties? We're going to be using technology in our properties a lot more, aren't we?
We hope to be. So we have trialled a number where we can put monitors in specifically to identify the temperature, mean temperatures of properties, what the humidity is like, because where we'd like to get to is where you don't have to report a repair to us. So, for example, Luke's in the room, so he'll know better than me, but we've had some monitors on boilers, for example, where we know the pressure is dropping and it's in all likelihood it's likely to stop working. So we have been able to contact the customer and say, we think your boiler's going to stop working. Can you do this? And if you can't do it, obviously, we'd get somebody out. But we have also managed to use phones to be able to show you what to do, which means that we don't have to bring somebody out and you can learn how to do it. It is the way to go. It does cost a lot of money, but if it's anything that saves us from having to react to something and be on the front foot, can only be a good thing.
So I think, Kathleen, you'll hear more about how we use AI and technology in the next year or two, probably. At the moment, there's not that much actually happening. People at the back of the room, there's loads of seats if you want to come and get a bit more comfortable, if you fancy it, don't be shy. We've got a question, actually, just before we go with you, because we will absolutely have your question, sir. We've got a couple that have come through via the live stream, one of which is about a specific issue that we can't answer here. But the second one from Joe Eloise is probably worth just talking about. And again, for you, Julie, just about how to make sure that we are making the proper notes on our system for contractors so that the right people are coming out to the job and that those notes are being passed on to the right individuals. We're making progress there, but is there anything you want to add about that, Julie?
We are making progress. We've now got a portal that we share with not all of our contractors yet, but more and more contractors are coming on board so that we're not having to rely on paper notes or phone calls or things that can get lost. We can pass all messaging through that portal. So most importantly, because this is one of my bugbears, is that we don't have control over exactly when a contractor is going to go out and do the job that you've requested us for. We can ask, but whereas we've got complete control over our internal teams, we're not quite there yet with our contractors. We have brought on board 5 new contractors in the last year, and they are very good. And we've not had so much good contractors in the past, and we're gradually saying goodbye to those. So, Joe Eloise, I'm really sorry that's been your experience. What I would like to say is, where you do have those experiences, please let us know straight away where you've had an unsatisfactory service, whether it's from one of our external contractors or from us, because the sooner we know about it, the sooner we can do something about it. Just very quickly, Paul, interestingly, had a great session yesterday with Dan, who's on our performance and insight team, and Dan takes loads and loads and loads of data and he puts it in some sort of very technical whizzy thing, and he can then tell us why people are complaining. And one of the reasons people are complaining is for exactly what your experience has been, Joe Eloise, is that we either don't come out or we come out at a time where you have stated for us not to do that. And interestingly, going back to something Vic was saying earlier about we've speeded up the time that it takes for us to come and do your repairs. That's really great, but actually when Luke was doing his repairs review and he had a group of customers and he was asking them what's important to them in respect of repairs, the answer was really interesting, because we thought it would be you need to do repairs more quickly. And actually what the customers were saying was, we don't mind for routine repairs, that if it takes a bit longer, as long as you come out when you say you're going to come out, and more importantly, when you do come out, you actually fix the thing, rather than come out and say, oh yeah, that's not what we were told, we'll need to come back. That's the most important thing for customers. So at this moment in time, Luke and some colleagues are doing a pilot whereby when a customer phones in, there will be some of our technical colleagues who won't be out in the vans, but will be sat at a desk and they'll be talking with the customer so that we can get the diagnosis right first time. And hopefully that means that we'll be able to come out and we'll be able to do the job on the day that we said, at the time that we said we would do.
Well done. Sorry for making you wait, sir, but if our friend at the front could have the mic as well.
Yeah, my arm aches right now because I have arthritis. But another reason why my arm aches is that every single time I try and phone to locate somebody, I have to hold my landline telephone in my hand, sometimes as many as 18th, 19th in the row, waiting and waiting and waiting. Now, what I don't understand is why do I have to go through the switchboard every single time? In this wonderful report, there's not a single telephone number, not a single email, which enables me as a tenant to directly contact anybody. And I'm particularly concerned about damp and mould, because somebody came round and saw it, and nothing happened. And then I got a telephone call from someone saying, would you just tell me when they completed the job? And I said, they haven't even started. My concern is, if I'd been able to phone them directly, I could have tackled that situation.
So you've got a question about the ways that you can contact Curo and wanting to be able to get hold of people individually. So yeah. I'm sure everybody will have a view on that. I will just kick off with one point, which is we have a contact centre at Curo, which is the way that we ask everybody to contact us in the first instance. And that means that we can measure all of those calls coming in and we can know how quickly we're answering them, and we know that we have a team there who will do that. If you go to an individual, there is no guarantee that that individual is going to be at work that day or how quickly they'll get back to you. So that's why we try and get everybody to come through the same route. But once you're working with someone who's doing something with you in your home, you are able to contact them directly. But, well, you'll talk to them and they'll share a number with you. Well, they can do, and you could ask them to do that. But, okay, I understand your point. Let me pass on and see if any of our colleagues want to jump in on this broader point, or the damp and mould issue, which is an issue where there's multiple contacts between us and the customer, because it's not an easy thing to fix.
The model, I think the model of all the options, the model that says a customer can ring from 8 in the morning to 8 at night and get a call answered is the right one. Whether 19 minutes is acceptable, I think, is debatable. I think we're not unique. I think we have struggled with call answering times like many organisations, and I think Paul runs that service, and I think it's work in progress. I think 19 minutes is probably too long. So I accept that point, but the model that you call, there's one place, it's open 12 hours a day, is the right one. I think the model which is once you have rung up, once you've got your job reference number, or you've got a case that's now work in progress, you should be given the name of the person leading that. You should be given an email address at the very least, so you can be able to contact them. But more importantly, they proactively keep you informed. So that's the model. What you're explaining is the model's not worked for you, because you've given me enough examples of what I've said should be the practice and is not the practice. I think it's for us to reflect on why that might not be the practice, because it's certainly not the intention. And I think to the damp and mould thing, the interesting thing is that someone bothered to call you to find out if the work was done. So it's, at least there's a safety net. Back in the day, it might be that you're here and you tell me that story and no one's even contacted you. So at least we're making progress in there is a system of QA that goes, we've been told the work's been done. Has it really been done? Hopefully no payment's been made as well. It's a safety net that we put in. But you're right to challenge on that ongoing communication, which is essential. This is what makes the difference between customers really being happy and not, whether they feel that they have been kept informed every step of the way. Often that's the key. Even if there's nothing to say, knowing we haven't forgotten about you, but we are doing this and we're waiting for that is really important. We need to get better. That's one of the problems in our complaints, is we don't keep people informed. So that's a generic problem. We need to get better. And I think the fact that we still have issues around the speed at which we're doing stuff. And don't forget the damp and mould team, which Julie will pick up on, is a brand new team, really well resourced. We put a lot of effort in to get it right. And what you're flagging is we're not getting it right 100% of the time yet. But I don't know if Julie wants to pick up that particular point.
So since probably this time last year, we've had like other housing associations, an unprecedented demand for damp and mould issues in our homes. And as you can imagine, with the type of homes that we have in our portfolio, I think the oldest property is from 1753 right the way through to 2025. There are damp and mould issues. You might have heard as well of AWAB's law that's coming in next month, which quite rightly the government is bringing in so that all landlords, and in the private sector as well, in England are responsible for making sure that damp and mould issues are resolved quickly. So we have been working for the last 12 months. We brought in a specialist damp and mould team that can do most of the work that needs to be done for damp and mould. I don't know why that's happened, and I'm happy to take your details later to understand or find out why. But we have got, as Vic said, a new team. It is working well. And from next month, there will be specific deadlines that the government is saying that all landlords have to be working to, in terms of from the time that it's reported, and it doesn't need to be a customer that reports it. It can be one of our colleagues that goes into our home and sees damp and mould. That's called day zero. And from that time, we have a certain amount of days to come out and do further investigation, and then another amount of days to do a report. We have to give the customer the report, and then we have a certain amount of time to be able to come out and rectify it. So all of our surveyors, we've got a great team of surveyors now. They've all been trained in specialist damp and mould works. They've got the right equipment. So I don't know what's happened with that, but the team, they've gone through 1,200 cases in 1 year alone. We keep them open, so we do the work. We won't close the case. We will keep it open for 6 months afterwards, because we know, particularly at the time of year, it could come back. So we will always ring the customer at the end of that time to say, are you satisfied that we've resolved the damp and mould, or do you still have a problem? And if you still have a problem, we'll be straight back out. So we have got the things in place. I can't say that we promise it will work 100% of the time, but listening to other colleagues in other housing associations, we are well ahead of the curve in our preparation for this.
Thanks for your questions, and there were two bits to that. I think the communication one is a really good one, and I hadn't spotted that there isn't a phone number or an email address on that document. There should be. We're not deliberate. There is. Oh, there is.
On the back.
There is. Yeah, it is. So it's on the back. Yeah, okay. But we have a team of people who answer those phones. So sometimes there are a lot of people who want to get hold of us, and you will have to wait. But as Vic says, if you look at what's happened in all of society over the past 5 years or so, I don't think many people are getting through to their bank or their energy company particularly quickly. It's a difficult thing for us to have to manage and resource, and that's why we also offer other things for other people who want to use digital channels. Okay, I don't think we have any more questions online, but someone shout at me if we do. We've got a question just there in the middle, sir.
Hi, thank you very much. Kind of an observation and then a specific question, if that's okay. I was really interested in all your metrics and all your data and all your improvements. But what really struck me is that I heard nothing from you guys today about the issue I talk more about with other residents of the estate more than anything, which is around traffic calming and parking.
You mean specifically here at Mulberry Park?
Specifically in Mulberry Park, and the design of it, and the speed at which people are driving up and down the roads, and people mounting curbs to get round buses because the parking isn't being thought about enough or thought about properly. I appreciate that some of this is a council issue, and I appreciate that some of this is a police issue. I realise that you guys aren't kind of responsible for everything, but I guess there's two specific things that I think could help. Number one is you are running a massive construction project down here at the moment, and I see your contractors coming down my road every day at much faster than the speed limit. People that are coming in on your dollar in your vans, not in the Mark Curo vans necessarily. They're generally better because I think they know they're branded, but the guys with the ladders and all the stuff that's coming down, they are coming down too fast. They are mounting the pavement to go round the buses because there's a planning issue, and there are primary school kids coming out. Be quite easy to put in all your contracts that your contractors are required to observe the speed limits around your estates. Would not cost you a lot of money, would at least make them think about it and try to tell their guys or girls. Point one. Point two is just at a broader level, you guys have a voice, I'm guessing, into the local council, and just working with them more closely and engaging with the community more closely about the impact of the design of the estates, and particularly around the fringes. Get the sense that Mulberry Way, your big flagship Mulberry Way, is beautiful and lovely and construction traffic's not allowed to go up and down it. That pushes construction traffic and other traffic to other roads around the edge of your estate, so where there is still community impact, often quite negatively. Thank you. I know that was a rant, so I appreciate, but just wanted to be quite practical.
I think they're both perfectly reasonable challenges. I'll take away the feedback on contractors that are serving the new build, because Curo Construction is part of our organisation, so I definitely will take that away. Good to hear that our colleagues aren't as bad, and they are much better at sticking to the speed limit. But I take your point. You're right. 1 in 3 properties at Mulberry are social rent. That means 70% are not in our ownership. That means there's only so much we can do, but we have a responsibility. So I take that point, absolutely. I think the point around we need to work a bit harder with the local authority to better synchronise what we're doing. I agree too. I wonder the extent, you know more about what we've been doing with the resident association here, but I think bringing in, so part of today is about being held accountable, right, to our residents and the community, and answering your questions, or in some cases accepting we're not doing well enough. And I think in the point you make around how, because we can't do what the local authority does, we can only influence, like you, is like, how do we bring the local authority in to be held accountable to the resident association is probably the way. We're shoulder to shoulder with residents on key issues, rather than we're not the problem, but we're one of the stakeholders trying to influence the same thing. So I can't disagree that we need to work harder. We do have influence because we're, 92% of all social housing in Bath and North East Somerset is owned by Curo. So we are a particularly big stakeholder. We're what they call an anchor institution with the universities. So we do have that. We do have to leverage that relationship more. And I think perhaps, particularly for the point you're making, I think we probably need to bring senior people into the resident association meetings, or to the CBS meeting, which is the Community Benefit Society that runs the community facilities here. But I do agree, I think we need to hold them more to account rather than what we've been doing, which is to drag them here and try and go, look, these are the problems, can you fix it? Do something a bit more organised, so they're coming, perhaps with councillors, hearing firsthand what the issues that we need to work together on. But you're right, when we're getting to that point where we're no longer constructing, we have to let go and pass on to the community so they can run the community. And we've got to do that in an orderly way so that we're holding the council to account, 100%. But I will take the message back about contractors directly, promise.
Thanks for your question. We can also talk afterwards. The Residents Association members have been here as well. There's a lady down at the front, I think, wants to ask. You just need to wait for the microphone.
Yeah.
Where's Emma gone? Oh, sorry. Oh, we got one further back. Sorry, you have to wait a second. I missed.
Hi, this is Rebecca. Yeah, I have a question. I live in the city center, Riverside Garden. I was a tenant before, and I was told by my landlord that there should have a window replacement works carried out in the year end of 2023. So I turned to be a landlord last year because I bought another apartment in the same building. Okay, I have asked, and I asked about the window replacement work. How's the progress? But I got no answer at all. So I would like if you can answer me now or a bit later by email, okay, with the details. Thank you.
Yeah, so are you saying we're the landlord of the block that you have 2 flats in? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
Actually, the window replacement works is for the whole Riverside Garden.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter whether before I'm a tenant and now I'm a landlord, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. Well, let's talk to you afterwards.
Can I?
Okay, unless you know.
Just to say one thing, and apologies, we had a windows and doors contractor up until last year, and we had a lot of complaints from customers about the quality of the service that they were providing. Very poor quality installation. We tried to work with them to have an improvement plan with them, and there was a slight improvement, but it didn't last. And so, unfortunately, we had to take the decision to stop them last year, hence why we weren't able to continue with the window replacement programme. We are going out to tender for new contractors in the next couple of months. So there is a backlog, and I apologise for that, but what I couldn't do anymore was accept that we had a poor quality contractor that was going into our customers' homes and providing such an awful service. So I apologise that that's caused a backlog, but what I do want to make sure is that when we do go out to tender, it's not just about cost for us, is that quality is more important. And so that's why I want to make sure we have the best contractor coming on board to work with us, so that they're going into people's homes, and I know that the work that they will do will be of a good standard.
Can I maybe put... I think it's worth saying they were Anglia. I don't think we should be embarrassed about saying Anglia, who had the contract, were poor. I used to go out with frontline colleagues and I was seeing how poor the work was. So whilst it was disruptive for you, I think in the end it's the best thing for you. Putting in poor quality windows wouldn't have been great for you. The other thing I'd say to you is, and this is a general point, we should be putting online our anticipate replacement dates.
It's on my Curo.
So if you go on our website, there should be, I don't know what...
It's on my Curo.
It's on my Curo. Would landlords get my Curo?
Possibly, if they...
Okay, if you don't, it's an issue we need to fix. But we have a schedule when we anticipate do certain replacements, so you can see when your block is due a particular renewal. So that's a general point for anyone listening in as well. So if you're curious, go to my Curo. It'll tell you when we're planning to do the work. But if we don't do landlords or the owners, we must make sure we give you access to that too.
Yeah.
Okay, let's come down to the front. The lady who had her hand up before. Yeah, just wait for the microphone, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting us today, myself and my neighbour. Apparently we've got a little prize coming anyway. But yeah, in the meantime, we live out in Weston and we live in supported accommodation. Now, coming here today, I think it's quite luxurious, really, that everything is, well, just, I can't believe it, really. So Curo's got some money somewhere. And I believe that you could do more for us out Weston. We've got a community hall. It's called Haviland Park Community Hall. And it's really dire. It's, it's when you walk in, it's a bit smelly, and it needs it needs a good old hall, really. Apparently it's in, to be done in 2 years' time. And I did remark that I could be dead by then, but anyway. In the meantime, there's got, we do our garden and we look after it, but in the meantime, we got neighbours all around that it's like Steptoe's yard. Looking out my window sometimes, I think, what the hell? We'd put an effort into anything. And I have complained a couple of times to Curo about it, really. And I've also done my own little thing and left notes for them. And it has helped a little bit. I don't think Curo do enough for people dumping things, anywhere they want to, in their front gardens, in their back gardens. And people that are living around it has got to look at that all the time and, view it and think, what am I living in? So maybe Curo could put a little bit of money maybe into our little place.
Okay, thank you for that. And we can talk afterwards about your particular environment. Andrew, do you want to add anything about the general points in there?
Yeah, I think picking up on what I said earlier around getting colleagues out into our communities, I think you're right. We probably haven't been as visible as we should have been over the past few years, and we're taking some steps to address that. So we've recently started to run a pilot in one area whereby we will be more visible. We are out knocking on people's doors saying that's not acceptable in this community and holding people to account. I suppose the proof will become when we start seeing those standards increase, but also we've got then go back and then have those extra conversations with those people who aren't keeping to what we asked them to do. So hopefully, providing everything goes well in the estate which we are trialing this in at the moment, you will see a lot more colleagues from Curo serving your area on a more regular basis. And we think with more visibility, we'll be able to drive those standards up. All right.
Excellent. Thanks for your question. We've got more. So, lady there.
I've got a disabled child. See there. I've had issues when I've been contacting Curo about adaptations. I've had adaptations done quite a few times. Each time it's been chase, rejection. Go to them, absolutely not. You said you'd do it. And the problem is, if you reject something, you then have to apply for a DEF grant. Anyone knows about those grants, they're over a year wait. So I've already asked for something. They turn around to me, yeah, you can have it. Chase them, no, we're doing that now. And then go into war. It's a great year for grant. The grant for the adjustment I need. The adjustment is paramount to keep my child safe. And I'm just like, and this keeps happening. And why is it happening? It shouldn't be happening, you know. I want to keep my child safe. I'm doing what I should be doing. And then I'm having these hurdles.
Yeah, I understand. I'm sorry that's been your experience. Do you want to talk a bit about DFGs and where we are with those, the disability?
Yeah, so we do aids and adaptations up to a certain amount of money, and I'm looking at Luke. Is it £1,000, Luke?
Yes.
Yes. So any aids and adaptations that are required by a customer in their home that is up to the value of £1,000, then we will automatically come out and do. Anything that's above that, then, as you quite rightly said, the customer has to apply for a disabled facilities grant or a DFG grant. We don't administer that. That's through the council. We can try and influence, and we do, and we have lots of conversations with them.
Thank you for raising it, and we will talk to you afterwards about that and just see where you're at the moment. It's just because you haven't got the mic, people online can't quite hear what you're saying, even though people in the room can. We have some more questions. Back to you.
Okay, I'll keep this brief. This is a design stroke planning question. So I live in a accessible disabled property, which I'm extremely grateful for. But the outside space of this new property, the garden is not accessible. This is an issue maybe to discuss between the builder and yourselves when you're allocating. So when I was allocated this property, it was like, woohoo, fantastic. I can get around it. 2 years on, I cannot use the garden. It's on a slope. I can't mow it. I can't reach it. And I feel that the builders did something that looks very nice visually, but when you get out there and you're living in the space, I can't access the garden. So I've now personally been contacting landscape gardeners to see if they can make it accessible for me, and I've been quoted prices of 5 to 10k in a property that's new, that it should be accessible already. Anything that is decorative, that's up to me. I just want to make it accessible. So I'm talking about future planning. If properties are allocated to somebody and they have a disability, it's really important that the outside space is just as important as the inside space. I'm speaking because my background is design and the function of it doesn't match the visual aspect of it. So I'm just letting you know, I'm pulling my hair out trying to find ways to make a garden that's to slope level, and I feel the builders have a role that before they hand over the turnkey, it should be accessible, and that's the point I'm trying to make.
You've made it very well. Thank you for that point. I mean, I think what you're describing is the disconnect there is between building regulations and intentions of landlords to try and put people in the right homes. and they don't always match up. We've had some issues here where we've been building the site ourselves. So I totally understand your point. Vic, do you want to add anything?
I think it's a point well made. I do think it's a product of planning. But I do also think as a client, when we are agreeing to buy new affordable housing from developers, we can define that as part of our standards, and we should. So one of the things we'll be launching later this year is the Curo home standard. So what do we think that all homes should look like? And that should include our new build. I think that you talk about an adapted home that doesn't have a garden that's accessible. I think we need to talk to you about DFG separately. But the reality is I've been in schemes where there are flats that are disabled, but the communal access to it, you can't access it with a wheelchair. So there are fundamental planning issues. We as clients need to be much better at saying our new build standards is that if we have a disabled adapted home, then the access to it needs to be accessible, and areas, the external areas, and that is absolutely 100% our fault. No one else's fault. We have not thought through that. We've bought houses from developers on what's called a 106 planning site and just bought it without those additional conditions being placed. And I think we need to accept we did wrong there, and we should be much more demanding on this going forward.
Okay, this may be our last question. We are going to have to finish soon because we need to get into the awards as well. So, gentlemen on the side there.
Hi, my name's Chris. I live in Avon Court. Some weeks ago, I accidentally burned some toast. This triggered my fire alarm. And although I found there was no way to cancel it, the fire brigade had to turn up, which seemed to be a waste of their time. But the instructions which came through was follow your fire safety drill. What is that drill? When I moved in about 2 years ago, I seem to remember being mentioned to me, but it would be very, very much better if there was a basic fire drill on the inside of the outside door permanently attached. My memory is failing, and I'm sure I'm not the only person with that problem.
Thank you for the questions. I think we understand your point of view there. Who wants to jump into that? There's a few different bits to this.
Yeah.
I think if you're in Avon Court, then that would be a sheltered scheme, and the arrangements, if there were a fire, is that Avon Court is what's called a stay put policy, so that what the fire service tell us is the type of property that you're living in and the type of client group that lives there, it is far more safer if a fire breaks out for people to stay in their homes rather than try to evacuate, because the fire service will have a full list of people who live there, any disabilities or impairments, and they will have that, and it will be easier for them to evacuate people if necessary from your homes rather than trying to get out of the building. That's why you haven't had a fire drill. When you moved in, you would have had a conversation with a sheltered housing officer that would have put in place, and I think you would have probably had what's called a person-centred fire risk assessment, which would give us the information to give to the fire service.
I'm fully familiar with the requirements, etc., because I spent most of my life in health and safety, particularly safety, electrical and electronic components. My point is that I am over 80 and my memory is going. Yeah. I'm sure other people in the flats probably don't remember what happened when they moved in a year, 2, 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All I'm saying is a brief set of principles sealed in plastic and glued or nailed to the inside of the outer door.
I think that's a really, really great idea.
That's all.
that we'll
Thank
take
you
it
very
forward.
much.
Thank you for that suggestion. So we will
Thank
act
you.
upon that. We are going to move on now, ladies and gents, just because we do need to get into our awards as well, and it is now just gone 2:30, I believe. It's going to take us a minute or two just to make sure all of our winners are here as well. But could you thank the panel, please, and
Thank you.
particularly
Thank you,
Gracie,
Gracie.
who I think was excellent.